Mic check. Okay, let's see how let's go over to Twitch. Let's see. Let's unmute Twitch and just see how audio's doing. To Twitch. Let's see. Let's unmute Twitch. Not bad. Okay. Definitely not muted this time. Haha. My gosh. I think by now, like any of you who've watched our most recent VOD, know that I um on episode 2 of our Forbidden Lands campaign, after returning from the intermission, uh I forgot to hit unmute. And so there were like 45 a solid 45 or so minutes of silence and animated, facial expressions. That was unfortunate. Won't happen again. Or I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be making any guarantees. I don't want it to happen again. Lesson learned too. Um, yeah. But yeah, today it's another week of table talk. We missed streaming last week. Breaking our run of like more than a year of consistently streaming every Monday. But yeah, schedule changes and life um just that did happen to get the best of us last Monday. So I don't know if you missed us, but we missed you guys. So here we are. Another Monday, another table talk. We've got a few topics lined up. A handful of topics lined up for you guys, which you can access by typing exclamation topics over in chat when you are watching um, on on Twitch or YouTube. And for Facebook viewers, I believe Mixer as well. But I'm not sure. Uh, for others watching on Facebook, the topics list is going coming up in the comments section shortly. Let me just format it properly for Facebook. And yeah, hold your horses. It takes a bit of rejigging just because, you know, I don't want them clumped together in an inhospitable wall of text. So, okay. Topics comment coming up. Let's check the audio on Facebook too. Okay. There we go. Looks good. There we go. Today's topics are. Hang on. Here we go. There we go. Topics are up on Facebook. It's the first comment. So just scroll up. I love how when it shows up, it just looks like, it just looks like very snarky smileys. Did that message come with a sub, JP? Who's this guy? Where's the other dude? Well, the other dude is in chat. And it is much appreciated that he will, if he can keep me company in chat. I'd still love that. I, things get busy. It's understandable. I do miss having you around, buddy. But yeah, no hard feelings. I'll keep it going. I'll keep it going. Um, I'll keep this banter going until 7:45. We will hit the intros then, and then get on with tonight's program. So if you're listening in, please do say hi in chat. I'd love to see, who's keeping me company tonight. There we go. Reveus stuck in traffic, staying in chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Interesting. Why? So answer me this, JP. Like on the restream chat thing, it's not showing me how many people are watching. That's weird, isn't it? But it is showing me like in the multi-streaming restream channels thing, showing me that there's one viewer on Twitch, a handful of viewers on Facebook. Thank you, by the way, Facebook. All right. Well, I guess we'll hit the intro. It's 7:45, and you are watching Table Talk here on Dicecast. Yes, I'm using the new account. Why? Does it seem like I'm not? All right. So, we are we are live, by the way, on Facebook, YouTube, Mixer, and of course, Twitch. All thanks to Restream. Thank you, Restream, for being an awesome service. Well, at least, a sulit service that we pay for. Um, yeah. So a bit of housekeeping. So yeah, we like I mentioned before, we missed last week's table talk. Really sorry about that. But yeah, we're back this week. We've got a handful of topics for you. If you want to read along, um, so you can, yeah, I know there was no audio during the intro. Why was that? I couldn't figure that out either. When I've signed in already, like on the new restream, that was indeed kind of weird. We'll figure it out later. Um, but yeah. Anyhow, so to what I was saying. So we are we're back with Table Talk this week. We've got a handful of topics for you. Um, yes, I did update OBS Live. Um, we've got a handful of topics for you, and we are gonna be discussing first some housekeeping. Last Saturday, you can check it out in our video archive on VOD. You can check the second episode of our Forbidden Lands campaign. Just don't bother to watch after the break, after the intermission, because I forgot to switch on audio. But before that, you had the party dealing with the aftermath of, or with their initial exploration of the ancient castle known as Weatherstone. It is their first real brush with adventure in the Forbidden Lands campaign. We got it. We got it off to a in the first episode. They had just fended off a demonic octopus that tried to drown one of their members. Um, and in the second one, yeah, they explore a bit, like quite a bit more after that, and deal with a couple of more surprise encounters in in the ancient castle. They it was pretty interesting to see, Lance, Marvin, Irwin, and Daryl, uh, like get a bit more into character, figure out like who exactly like they are, and finally in episode 2, Lance casts Matt, like finally like uses her blood sorcery, the devastating effect. No, spoiler warning. Commands only work on Twitch. Really, not on YouTube anymore. Aw. Oh well. It enabled per browser source audio. Yeah, like I did everything. Updated OBS Live, signed into the new restream. I don't know why. I don't know why the intro didn't trigger. I think even back uh on Saturday during the Forbidden Land stream, I think I recall the intro audio didn't trigger either. It was kind of weird. But well, maybe hopefully you can help me figure it out after the stream tomorrow or something. But yeah, thanks for always like staying on top of these things, JP. We would be so lost without you. Um, yeah, so you can check that out in our archive. And then yes, let us go into the first topic of the day. Why don't we? So one of the one of the highlights of this past month really has been um well, I tried to participate in it by making my first ever like RPG, but given I don't know, like I might have bitten off more than I can chew because the scale of what I wanted to do might be a bit too ambitious, but I still want to do it. But yeah, basically I got sidetracked by launching the Forbidden Lands campaign and everything. I still want to do it, and hope I'll still keep doing it, even though this game jam has officially finished. But um, Hilagyo Jam uh, officially concluded. I believe it was November 3rd or November 2nd. Uh, Probably November 3rd. So yeah, what is Hilagyo Jam? This is a game that Pampunsalan, the EIC of Play Without Apology, and several other Pinoy developers hosted in the hopes of increasing the visibility of Filipino game design and Filipino made RPGs. If you have the time and the inclination to do so, you should definitely check out the entries. There are 25 in all. The creators, like would love it if fellow Filipinos or even people from outside the Philippines would check out the games, read them, play them, and talk about them like over on Twitter. Like just yeah, give your opinions like on you know on what it feels like to play games made by your fellow countrymen. It's pretty awesome. So let's check out real quick the um the 25 entries to Hilagyo Game Jam. You've got quite a bit um here, a lot, and with varying price points as well. So you've got some at the $10, $7, $5, yeah, everything in between. The ones without price tags, I believe, are free to download, free to play. So you can definitely like. I guess that's a good start if you just wanna check it out. But yeah, if you want to support, I believe they do accept donations as well. Um, Quite a few of the game designers have their Patreons or Ko-fis, and you can support them there as well. Um, yeah. So let's see. A couple of the things I kept an eye on during this game jam were my project Naman si Kapitan, Maria. What else caught my eye? Um, well, we'll start with those. Stories of Love in Manila. Oops, no, not add to collection. We just want to check it out. So let's see. My project Ano Man Si Kapitan is by Erwin Kasha. It's a name your own price download. It's a Tagalog English micro RPG about concerned citizens investigating a dubious project in a local town. The plot hook is that, well, it's in Filipino. Um, but I'll translate into English after. But yeah, nabalitaan mo na sa huling town meeting na hindi mo inattendan, pero chinismis sa'yo ng landlord or kapitbahay mo na may ipapatupad na bagong project si Kapitan Kunat. Bilang isang mamamayang may pake sa lipunan, mission mong mission niyong malaman kung ano ang tunay na layunin ng project at isiwalat sa buong purok ang tunay na kulay ni Kapitan. I may, sorry if I get the English translation wrong, but you heard that at the last town meeting that you weren't able to attend, that there were rumors of um, that there's a new project. The rumors told to you by your landlord or your neighbors that there is a new project underway from Captain Krusty. Bilang, bilang isang, or what's kunat? Stale? Chewy? What's, I'm not entirely sure. As one concerned citizen who gives a damn about their their community, uh, your mission is to learn what the true objective of the project is, and to reveal to uh, to your community uh, what the true colors of the barangay captain is. So enjoy. This is a pamphlet-sized game of town gossips, weird rumors, and corrupted local government. Corrupted by who or what? You play to find out. So, um, yeah. So it's at right now it's at release version 2.9. As it says, name your own price. And yeah, so check that out. This other one is a game called Maria by Christina Marcos, and it's called, yeah, it's created specifically for Hilagyo Jam. This is a game that you can print and play, and it's free for the first week, but I guess up to now it's still name your own price. Um, Stay tuned because the author will be releasing a physical copy complete with cards, with more ghosts, stories, and additional mechanics. Um, so, what is this game about? If I recall correctly, this is a game inspired specifically by um, the experience of ghost stories in an exclusive Catholic girls' school. So, I bet, like, even boys can relate to this because, like, as long as it's exclusive and Catholic, it comes to the territory with the territory. So you get the cards and character sheet, the game booklet itself, a PDF itself, and yeah, a solo copy of the character sheet. We'll download a couple in a bit. Well, actually, let's download some now. I will. I'm not logged in yet, so for now, I'm just gonna download, and then later we will RPGs. Okay. How do I open this? This is Notepad. How do I open this in? I know. Uh, as the always trusty Calmly writer, gonna paste this in here. That's a bit jank, but at least we can see what's going on. So yeah, please download this. Check it out. It's in this, as you can see, it's fully in Tagalog. Um, and you can take on the roles of uh, the roles of market vendors, drivers, teachers, kasambahays or household help, domestic workers rather, nurse, freelance artist. Interesting selection. Interesting spread of backgrounds there. But yeah, basically you get a notepad, a text file rather. It actually looks better in Notepad than it does in over here on Calmly. I just don't know exactly how to open. a notepad file, a dot text file in Chrome. But yeah, it's I would say this feels like, yeah, like a pamphlet. It could definitely fit in a pamphlet, I think, with the right layout. And it did. This was you could get this at Session Zero, several months back, which was a convention by gamers and GMs that showcased um, a lot of uh, a lot of games by by local Filipino designers, including this one. I think the difference is that Hilagyo Jam, or rather, Gamers and the Session Zero required uh, the participants to be able to showcase, or rather, to be able to have a print copy of their game for people to purchase. I think, yeah, on for Hilagyo Jam, it was a bit more relaxed to allow more participants to join. Um, so yeah, even like a text file was, yeah, was all good for Hilagyo Jam, and really like that's pretty awesome. Better for everyone. So we'll do this same thing here. We'll download the game. I'll, this one is a PDF, so it should show up. There we go in Chrome. Nice. So I think this is a bit of a word from the author herself. So she says, I think this will pretty much encapsulate the game. Growing up in an all girls Catholic school, I often found myself restricted by beliefs and blinded by. Even now, some of these anxieties haunt me, and even more so knowing what the pressure of growing up there made me do. I regret a lot of the choices I made and find myself trying to become a better person than who I was in those halls. I found comfort knowing about the darker side of Catholic schools. The headless nun that was murdered a long time ago, a vengeful spirit that sought atonement for what was done, for what was done to them, or the wronged priest that roams the chapel at night. They were ghost stories that I found incredibly interesting. So I made a game about one ghost, a ghost named Maria. This is a game about what you would do to get what you want, what is worth the risk, and how far would you go to get it. More importantly, this is a game about telling a ghost story and who made it out alive. Okay, so before you start, take note it's a horror game. Let people know if there's a certain topic you're uncomfortable about hearing or exploring. Let everyone speak privately or within the group. Okay, so um, a little note about safety. Okay, so let's see. Actually, let's. I wonder if I can play through this myself. Um, let's try. You are the guardian. Tell the story of the students. What happened the night they met her? Have them answer your questions and face her challenges. Answer. I guess this is the GM. Answer these questions yourself. Create the story that the students will unravel as they play the game. What summoned her? What is keeping her from moving on? Why is she here? Does she mean harm? What were the things that were important to her? What were the things she kept? And what does she want from the students? For the players, being a student is never simple. Create your student by filling out the needed information on the ID card. Ooh, I want to see the ID card. Let's see. Is this a PDF? Yes, it is. Ew. I guess this is a student ID card. Okay. Um, I'm gonna put this up. There we go. So that is the ID card um referred to in the rulebook. Um, so you have sections for name, level, section, age, birthday, club, faith, confidence, and resolve. Let's see. So yeah, fill out the ID card at the start of the game, answer the questions as a group, and share the story, shape the story before the game starts. So relationships, yeah, how do you know each other? What brought you together? What does the school look like? How are the people in the school? What secret do you think the school is hiding? So a bit of relationship building and world building as well. The students will answer these individually. Character building, there we go. Who are you? What do you think is your greatest asset? What is the one place that you find most comfort in? What do you want most? What are you willing to do to get what you want? Game can be played with 2 to 4 students and 1 guardian. Played with 60 cards, 6 shock cards, 4 crosses, and 50 hallowed cards. Oh, okay. Those are the crosses. I guess these are the shock cards. Okay, so hallowed cards are a sign that nothing bad is going to happen. Crosses keep those close to crosses will protect you from whatever is lurking in the dark. And shock cards mean that she has come for you. All right. Students' faith and their confidence. These two determine the number of cards they will take from the deck. Assign one to either faith or confidence, and assign two to what's left. Difference is that if the student suffers from insecurity and are unsure of their actions, they would assign faith as their lowest. Ah, okay. Yeah, I know. We didn't make any Halloween content this year. Kinda, I don't know, kinda disappointing. It's okay. There's Halloween every year. We could just do it late, like this week, if you're up for that. Until students are put under pressure, they start with no slashes, and then as they pull shock cards from the deck, they will lose resolve equal to the number of shock cards they have pulled. Okay. So I'm guessing, there we go, resolve. Okay, that's why. All right. So you want a lower number. Like a lower number determines strength. So um when you act, right. Okay, if you act in the game um from an insecure place, or when a student suffers from insecurity, you yeah, you're trusting in faith. You're always trusting in faith. So that's why you only draw 1 card. And when you are, I guess, acting with confidence, when you're more confident, yeah, you only draw 1 card. Interesting system. Okay. Anyway, the other one is Stories of Love in Manila. We beings of pure magic and nature have learned how to adapt to the city life. In Manila, elementals have learned to live life like we humans do. They go to work, pay the bills, think about traffic, they fall in love. Aw, feels like very, mythology class. Or what am I thinking of? Not quite mythology class. Or is it? Anyway, some of us elementals have heard of the reader, a gifted human who can see us for our magic. But more importantly, they help us reclaim our destiny and rewrite our stories of love. So this is a game for 2 to 6 players and 2 to 4 hours of playtime. It uses tarot cards. Uses tarot cards as an intuitive storytelling tool. Unfortunately, we don't have tarot cards right now. It's a narrative game and incredibly rules light and features strong themes of Philippine folklore. Let's just check out like what it looks like, even if we do not have um the cards. I just want to see what the game looks like. Yeah, there's a lot of nice stuff on offer. Oh, this has a lot more body than the previous two games. This is a game um by Jamila Nejadi, or Temporal Hiccup on itch.io. Interesting. I wish I had tarot cards. So you can play as, here are the, I guess, the playbooks, right? There's the Tikbalang. There is the Diwata. The Tikbalang is swift-hearted, ready to run headfirst into something without thinking twice, but just as ready to run away when love cracks under their clumsy hands. I love it. It's already like reading like horoscopes. The Diwata is the gentle and soft. It's gentle and soft like a whisper, who thrives and grows in the shadows between trees and hangs their wishes on flowers. Love is strange and does not make sense to them. The duende are steady and unmoving, and are what's left behind and easily looked over. Aw, senpai, notice me. The sirena, they are changing, mutable, always relearning who they are. The encanto have leave behind them a trail of broken hearts and spiteful gazes. Ooh. I guess the reader is the GM. Is it? I think it is. Oh no, it's not. Interesting. So yeah, like there's just a this is I think that's like a pretty good spread of what you can check out at the Hilagyo Game Jam page. So like if you haven't seen you don't have access to our topics, which you can get by typing exclamation topics over on Twitch, or checking out also in YouTube, I think, or checking out on Facebook the top comment. Just scroll up. That is itch.io/jam/hilagyo-jam/entries. And you have other things here too, like for example, the Maharlika core book, which is sci-fi, like mecha and magic um, RPG. This is something I've wanted to check out for a long time now. Also, Sundo, the First Flight, the game about death and rebirth and memories. I think one of the tweets about it referred to it as a game where you can actually play like more fleshed out, like a more fleshed out version of Bleach, right? Instead of the cookie cutter, Soul Society stuff. Like yeah, like Shinigami with actual backstory and motivations that make sense. Let's see. So yeah, that's about it for Hilagyo Game Jam. Um, let's see. Up next is a bit of if you have a if you have a an account for Drive Through RPG, you may want to take note of this because, um, yeah, you may want to change your password. So this was reported on a bunch of sites, including enrolled.org. Um, but yes, so they report that DTRPG is under attack by hackers. So they say that they haven't been compromised, but advise people to change their passwords as one of the attack vectors uses passwords obtained elsewhere to try and log into accounts, especially if the password um, that you use on drive-through is used elsewhere too. So to be safe, just change your password. Um, so I believe like drive-through RPG itself has not been hacked, but a bunch of uh, somebody is attempting to do so, and they're taking precautions. So they've also deactivated PayPal payouts temporarily while they work to secure everything. Um, yeah. So you can read the announcement uh, over on. I guess I don't know if there's like an official link, but to an announcement on the website. But basically, yeah, I guess this is from the people at Drive Through. Russian hackers using thousands of networked malware infected devices are behind the hacks, apparently. So I think this is for store owners, mostly for vendors. So some accounts have been looted. So yeah, just to be safe, even if you are not a publisher, or you're not a publisher or creator or affiliate partner on Drive to RPG, it may be just a good precaution to change your account password, which I will be doing after this stream. Yikes. Yeah, speaking of, it's Halloween. There's a lot of scary stuff out there on the streets, or there was a couple of days ago. Our next topic deals with some fears. Well, these specifically pertaining to when you're a new GM. It can be quite scary. So this blog, the Frank GM, has been, I guess, putting out weekly GM tips. You can go to their website, thefrankgm.com, and check those out. The one for this past week is called Overcoming Your New GM Fears. So let's see what nice tips the dude, this Frank, the Frank GM has for us. So he writes that um, yeah, like a lot of people want to be a GM, but fear and anxiety like get in the way. So don't worry, you are not alone. There are lots of ways for you to overcome and reasons for you to overcome your new GM fears and start running games. So this article, he says, is aimed at new GMs or those who are thinking about picking up the role of GMs. So specifically, the people who don't think they have what it takes to be a good GM. Um, so he says, yeah, he wants to tackle the most common fears and anxieties that new GMs face, and essentially explain why they're you don't have to be afraid of those things, why they're bullshit. He uses some rough language here, he does say, and he's not trying to bash people or anything. He just, fears are totally valid, and you shouldn't feel ashamed for being afraid. It's normal. Um, but the harsh truth about a lot of the common fears of being a new game master, just really like if once you get those out of the way, like it's you're good. Okay, so the first one he writes is I'm not creative enough or my ideas are bad. So I'll read what he wrote, and then I guess like give my own 2 cents. You don't have to be super creative to be a GM. You don't need all the new and original ideas for every adventure. Every idea you have was probably used in some other way or the other before you were even born. There are no truly new ideas. Everything has been done before. There are only old ideas with a new twist and in a new dress. So it's stupid to think you are not creative enough. I'm not actually that creative myself. Most of the time, I'm just taking ideas from different video games or movies, combine them, and put a little twist on things. My players always think I'm so very creative and wonder where I get my ideas. In reality, I just throw two vaguely related ideas in a pot with boiling water, stir a little bit, add some spice, and call it soup. That's a good way to put it. Like, and that's true. There are no like new like really stories to tell. Like it's all the possible stories, like I think, have been told. It's really just the dressing that goes on top, or the different ways you combine these stories that that really um makes them unique. So yeah, it's been done before, and I think once people realize that, it really kind of sets you free. Like there's a lot, you feel a lot less pressure to to run with your own, to improv or run with, or create your own stuff once you realize this. I think I'm like, luckily, one of the first RPGs that I learned, not just learned to play but actually learned to run for my friends, was L5R first edition. And one of the awesome things about that book was they immediately broke the ice on the sphere, because let me see if I can. I think it's called the 23. Like, is it 23 or is it 36? Yeah, okay. The 36 basic plots. Um, so it's, or rather, the 36 dramatic situations. Um, Here, let me open this up. So basically, in L5R first edition, the awesome thing about L5R first ed was that in the GM chapter, it had this section that basically spelled this out. Like, all the stories that could ever have been possibly told have been done before. And it shows like these 36 like basic plot archetypes. And you do see this, like, these plots in movies, in in books, in epics. Um and yeah, like, all that really changes is the dressing and like the order you put the plots in, or how you combine two or three plots together to make things interesting. But yeah, like the basic elements of story are have all been done before, which is liberating, honestly. So yeah, this was in the first edition of L5R book. I'm posting the Wikipedia page for the 36 dramatic situations, which are essentially it. So, what L5R did was that it put this in the frame of its setting and its genre. So L5R is very like Akira Kurosawa esque, with sprinkles of what, like Asian, yeah, Asian occultism and fantasy in there, through the lens of a Western eye, it must be said. But yeah, Vladimir Prop. Who is Vladimir Prop? Um, was he someone who wrote about this? Morphology of the folklore. Yeah, that's one other way to put it. Like, the, what is it like that Dan Harmon talks about, the story cycle, right? Those are other things that discuss, like how stories are really like at their core all the same. Anyway, so yeah, 36, the 36 dramatic situations. You can take any of these and spin like a plot hook out of it. Um, No, like L5R specifically used this, the 36 dramatic situations. First at L5R anyway. I don't know about like the most recent edition, like what's in their GM chapter. I don't think it has this, but yeah. Um, so yeah, here for example, crime pursued by vengeance. The one of the most classic examples, and I guess one of the best, is the Count of Monte Cristo. So the criminal commits a crime that will not see justice. So the Avenger seeks justice by punishing the criminal. So yeah, the wronged man. That's a powerful archetype. Let's see what else. The revolt. So a tyrant, a cruel power is plotted against by the conspirator. Um, the let's see what are other crimes of love. A lover and the beloved break a taboo by initiating a romantic relationship. For example, Sigmund and his sister in The Valkyrie, or Anakin and Padme in um, Attack of the Clones. Ooh, your English lit thesis was JP shares his English lit thesis was a Propian analysis of video game literariness. So, yeah, even video games like recycle ideas or story seeds, I guess, right? Um, yeah, I think let's see what L5R did in its first ever uh rule book was to in its first ever edition was to put all of these in the frame of Star Wars. So let's see if we can find Star Wars in here. Um the well for the purposes of this, it's the original trilogy. So let's see if we can find Star Wars in here. It is episode 4 is where a yeah, a young boy, like hero's journey, right? Embarks on a hero's journey. Let's see. Let's see. Can we find Star Wars? Yeah, no new stories, just new ways to tell them. Exactly. Oh, there you go. See also Vladimir Prop. Let's see. Abduction. Yeah, so Darth Vader kidnaps Princess Leia, right? Um Pursuit. So 3PO and R2D2 um are pursued on Tatooine because they have the Death Star. R2 has the Death Star plans. Supplication. So after Luke brings R2 over to Obi-Wan, um, they are like it's not exactly a power and authority, but yeah, an old friend, right? The supplicant appeals to like Leia appeals to Obi-Wan, asking him for help because he is their only hope. Um, Daring enterprise. So they find Han Solo, right? Because they have to um he has to get Luke and Obi-Wan out of Mos Eisley and to Alderaan. And they rescue Leia, Deliverance, from the Death Star. I think there's one about death here, right? Like where is this? Where is this? Self-sacrifice for an ideal? Nah. Yeah, that would be kind of Obi-Wan, wouldn't it? When he drops his saber, be struck down by Darth. Isn't it? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, from there, we're only in episode 4 so far. And there's already like so many different situations that we've gone through. Uh yeah, I guess that's what it would be, self-sacrifice, right? And then I would say maybe trying to solve the Death Star, like the Death Star run, would be an enigma because they're trying to, like, none of them can kind of, like, unlock the, like, how to destroy the Death Star, or rather, none of them can figure out how to use the key properly. They all know they have to hit the port, right, the exhaust port, but uh, they don't. They had no clue that they needed the Force, and Luke would be the only, being the only Force sensitive there, present in an X-wing, would be the only person, yeah, like who could have made the shot that destroyed the Death Star, right? And that is episode 4. They solve the enigma, the Death Star blows up, and boom. Yes, okay, fine. Yeah, Obi-Wan sacrificed himself for the ideals of of the Jedi philosophy. Strike me down in anger, and I will be more powerful than you can ever imagine. I think, like, I think the way Obi-Wan also kind of looked at Luke when he got struck down, that's also like I think, um like, he knew what he was doing. He knew what it had inspired Luke to become, right? I think there was a bit of that in that old rascal. A bit of a, yeah, a bit of a, what do you call this? A well played, you know, like eventually leading to checkmate move by Darth Vader's former master. Anyway, yeah. So just going back to this, like, all the ideas have been done. Don't be afraid of trying everything. Like, there is this RPG actual play. I think it's a podcast where what they do is they take the opening situation, the premise, the starting premise of a movie, and I don't know if they use Fate or another, like, or Genesis, or some other system agnostic, rather setting agnostic game system, and basically they run with it from there. Like, no, like, no, after that initial situation, it's open. Like, it's wide open for the players and the GM to take the story wherever, as long as it's, as long as it's fun and, I guess, narratively logical. Yeah, like, that is a fun exercise in uh like, learning how to rework ideas and getting comfortable with those is to do that. Like, I know I've for years I've wanted to see where a group of my players would take, the opening situation of the Phantom Menace, and see if we can match or surpass um, a lot of the movies themselves, or even, like, the awesome fan made um, suggestions out there for how the prequels should have gone. Like, that'd be pretty cool. Obi-Wan knew Luke would not revenge, but, lead him down the path to redeeming his father. Spoiler. Okay, next. I don't know all the rules. The Frank GM says you don't have to. There will always be a rule you tend to forget. People are playing D&D for years and still forget the exact rules for grappling a foe. Oh, grappling. That's normal and not a big deal at all. As long as you understand the basic action resolution mechanics of your game and are ready to make your own rulings, whether you forget, whenever you forget a rule, you will do great. Again, so yeah, if whenever you, as long as you understand the basics of the game, and you can, like, make your rules on the fly. When you forget a rule, you'll be fine. The key here is trusting your gut. You take into account everything you know about your game and your world, and then make a decision. Don't feel the need to make the perfect call every time, because there is no perfect call. It depends a lot on how it feels in the situation. Um, it says here. So yeah, I think this is definitely one of the roadblocks I tend to be conscious of, not roadblocks, fears I tend to be conscious of because um because I do want to, like, I'm a stickler for representing the game, at least in the first, like, when as I'm learning it, in the way the creator intended. So I do tend to want to know, like, at least, um if not all the rules, like, have them bookmarked. But then, yeah, like, once you get, also, yeah, the players won't know when you come up with a ruling. The part about understanding the basic resolution mechanic of the game, um, and using that to improv is great, because really, yeah, the players won't, as long as, like, for example, if you're playing, if you're playing D&D, if your ruling for resolving an action that the player wants to do is to roll a d20 plus an attribute modifier and an applicable skill modifier, and that's it. And you're making an ad hoc ruling and going with that. That's it. That's the game. That's plausible. That's like the game system. Hey, Clive. Yes, you made it. We are only in this second or third topic, so we've got quite a ways to go. Thank you for tuning in and keeping us company in chat. But yeah, so the topic is not um, overcoming, not overcoming. The topic is overcoming the fear of starting as a game master or a dungeon master, for that matter. But basically, yeah, um, the specific one is the fear of not knowing all the rules. And yeah, so as long as you know the basic resolution mechanic, you're you'll be fine. Like, if you're doing D&D and you make a rule to roll 2d6 instead of a d20, that's kind of, players will know what's up. No, or, like, that's kind of out there. It won't feel like the game that you're playing. But if you, yeah, the core mechanic, if you use the core mechanic, you're usually good. That's fine. So, um yeah, that's a that's a pretty good advice. There is no perfect call. Just, trust your gut and know enough about how the game, or rather the basic core mechanic of the game, and you will be okay. That too, the players don't care. Like, a lot of the time, like, there are some players who will care about the rules, like, especially if that is the way they engage with the game. But then, here's the thing: it's not even that they're munchkins. Some players, like, enjoy, like, knowing the rules inside and out, not to be OP or to make broken characters or to rules lawyer, but just because they know it, like, they engage with it as a game, as a set of rules more than as an experience or like a storytelling session. So that's okay. But then the thing is, you can use those players to your advantage if you're a DM and you're okay with, like, delegating that responsibility. Like, like, if you have a player like that who enjoys, looking up the rules, as long as you establish that, like, some ground rules, like, some tables will do it so that, um like, during the session, what the DM or the GM says goes, right, and you can look it up after and, like, implement the the rules as written, um next time. Or, you can, if you like the ad hoc ruling better, then you could roll with that. um, there are other tables that actually let a that player, that kind of player, be the rules reference, right? So it's not, um, there's a second, essentially, assistant DM who's in charge of rules and reminding everyone, like, when a certain rule might apply. Or what I like to do is, I tend to trust my players with their characters, because after all, their character is not just who they are in the game, it's also kind of the story they want to tell. So if And like really all the character abilities are storytelling tools. Like these are the ways that the players get to express the kind of story they want, like after a fashion. So what I do is that I leave that the responsibility of applicable rules to the players. If you build a barbarian grappler, then it's your job to know the grappling rules, and we will roll with that when we play the game. Like I'll be okay asking you, like, okay, so what do you roll? Like, you want to grapple the orc? How do we go about this, right? If you're the main or only spellcaster in the party, then you're in charge of how magic works, at least for your character. What the rules for the spell you're casting is. So those are your responsibilities at the table as the player. And I usually, like, especially in D&D, because I know I'm not going to be able to cover every single specific, ruling at the table. I enjoy delegating that responsibility to my players. And yeah, like they usually they're usually up to the task. Like it's something, like it's an ownership thing. They know their character, the ins and outs of it, what they're good at in the game. It helps. It really does help. Catching up in chat, even after Mercer makes mistakes and corrects them after the game. Even Mercer makes mistakes and corrects those mistakes after the game, and after Twitter blows up his inbox about it. Yeah, the perils of being the face of D&D, right? And yeah, Clive agrees. There you go. So yeah, what do you guys think of like the other versions of that, like delegating responsibility to, you know, right? As long as you don't feel intimidated, like I'm still like helpful about it. Like I give tips, like write your spells down, on index cards, right? Or print out spell cards or ability cards. I think the the point is, if they forget something, I'm not gonna hold it over their heads or shame them for it. No, that's when I'm gonna step in and make my own like ad hoc rulings. But as much as possible, like I want my players to be able to, it's part of, like, in a way, my way of teaching them the game, especially for the players who are kind of new to D&D. And it can be a step at a time. Like some players will, like learn how to use skills in one session or feats in another. Um, but yeah, it can be baby steps, or it can be, there's some players who have an appetite for it, have an appetite for learning these things, right? And it's usually the ones who do like who are quote unquote, munchkin y. Like that's a personality type for people who play games, whether it's digital or tabletop, who tend to who tend to kind of uh um appreciate that approach. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, like, yeah, end of the session, don't be afraid to make mistakes with rules, because you can always clear it up later on, and it's never unfixable. um next next fear is, I don't have the time to prep. So this is another one of um the author's favorite excuses to not run their own games. People think GMs spend hours every week to prepare a single hour of game time. There are people that do that, certainly. There are people that build and spray paint every dungeon they run, but it's not a requirement. It's not necessary to run a great RPG session. In fact, you can prepare a great session in a fairly short amount of time, depending on your experience and need for preparation. So, for a 4-hour session, the author usually spends around 2 hours if they want to feel prepared. But these days, they can prepare a session in 15 minutes if they really have to. It's never the goal, and he doesn't feel confident with that amount of preparation, but he can run a decent session. As a matter of fact, when you don't try to tailor the prep you do to your schedule, you'll never learn how to prep around your schedule. Sure, that means you won't be as well prepared as you'd like to be for a few sessions, but you'll get better at it. And you'll soon learn how to efficiently prepare your sessions in the time you have. Yeah, yeah, that's true. It really depends on how much you need to feel prepared. And like if you're asking how much a DM actually needs to be, how much a DM actually needs to be prepared when they run a session, I would say not as much as most people think. Um, unless you're running a published module, you don't really have to spend hours prepping. Um, I tend to, I tend to, okay, for D&D, um, at least D&D third ed onwards, um, there is this thing called challenge rating and this ideal balance that it tries to push. That I know that can feel a bit intimidating um for first time DMs. Um, but ultimately, just remember the golden rule that like play for fun, and if a rule isn't fun, discard it. Um, because that challenge rating, it's wonky at best. It doesn't really guarantee that your character's gonna have too easy a time, too hard of a time, or the exact level of challenge that you want for them. It's ultimate. It's really like how you run that encounter that determines how tough it'll be for the players. So don't even think of challenge ratings. Like talking specifically about D&D, third ed onwards, you don't even really have to think of challenge ratings. You know, don't go overboard and toss like Tiamat at the first level party, of course, or a red dragon, an adult red dragon for that matter, at a first level party. Or you could, as long as you think of a way for them to, to 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 survive or to defeat the monster. But yeah, um, yeah, it's okay. Let's catch up in chat first. So, boohoo, no prep time. Nobody has time for anything these days, but people still get shit done. So yeah, you put as much work or time into something as you want, and you know, um, I think a lot of the more modern RPGs tend to really tell you if you're getting stressed about prepping for an RPG session as a GM, you're doing it wrong. Um, it shouldn't be unfun. It shouldn't be like a chore. Like prep as much as you need to, and you know once you're getting stressed, stop, and that's probably fine. What you've got. Clive says, I agree that sometimes no prep produces memorable games. That's true. Yeah. And the most humorous ones too. Um, being a new DM is like your first time to jump in the pool when you're learning to swim. Yeah. Yeah, I would say yeah. There's a lot of you kind of need to learn to tread water before you can, freestyle. You could run Tiamat but end up with it being an illusion and only 50 HP. That's kind of anticlimactic. No, but okay. So, like seriously, what do you need to actually prep? What are the guideposts of what you need to prep to to run a session? Like let's say a 2-hour session, right? I think you need an idea of like just the basic conflict. It could be something simple, possibly, pulled from the 36 dramatic situations, right? Like, what is the conflict that the party is going to face? Has someone been abducted? Are goblins, you know, uh, like entering homes at night and killing people and stuff? Ooh, lich casts. Man, I am not seeing. Oh wow, you guys have been posting over in on our Discord, and I haven't seen it. I haven't been seeing it. So let me just respond to a bunch of chats that are over on our Discord. Sorry about that, Rachel and Eric. Rachel asks, "Did my game not make it to Hilagyo?" I barely got it started. I have a very bare skeleton, but I didn't want to submit that. Like I didn't even get the layout. Um, let's see. Let's see. We'll be seeding some of those games through our 2020 events. So, some like the Hilagyo games. Eric says gamers and GMs like will be, I guess, featuring the Hilagyo games throughout 2020. Their events in 2020. So I'll get chances to try them out. Awesome, and yeah, you guys like, and everyone will. Nice. Uh, yeah, Restream bot hasn't been sending your chats to our chat app. Sorry about that, guys. So the greatest sessions are sessions that happen. Yeah, if you're like to an extreme degree, an extreme reading of that is that if you're so stressed about planning that you're paralyzed and the session never happens, that is the worst thing that can the worst expression of this fear of this particular fear is if the session never happens or the session like even if the session happens and you're too handicapped by your anxiety over prep to actually like have fun while you're playing it, that that sucks. So don't stress. um that too. That's a great suggestion from Clive. The first thing you should consider is what your players would consider as fun. Yeah, definitely. Like whether you've had like a formal talk, like a session zero, talking about like what the players want to play through, or if you have like or even just be informed by what's on the character sheets, like their class, right? Their character classes, their alignments, um, their backgrounds. Yeah, that those are already like good seeds that you can draw from to minimize like the or at least to get your prep started, and so you don't have to think of too much like just by yourself. That's a great suggestion. Yeah. What do your players find fun? And from that, like think of a conflict. Think of maybe and in a conflict, there's always going to be a bad guy. If you've got the conflict, make a bad guy for it who's pushing that conflict forwards. Or you could have it the other way around. Think of a villain, and then how they might conflict with the players. Um, and then that's really it. Um, the other stuff is like henchmen, victims, allies. Those are window dressing. Like stories are all about conflict, I would say. So yeah, um, I think we all learned that in like high school and grade school, right? Stories are all about conflict, and the development of a conflict. So as long as you've got those, I think you're all set. Like as far as prep goes, maybe write down a couple of important things. Like if you're running D&D, I always tend to on index cards write down um, hit points, attack bonuses, and damage of monsters. Even just that, so I can quickly like if there's a lot of them, like uh, if say I write down the stats for a goblin and like 5 goblins pop up in the game, I just like I on that index card I just like put 5 columns and then keep tally there. It's like that's what I do, and it allows me to kind of just run stuff on the fly if I need to. Trello goals as XP they have going for docs and is also a good resource for making up sessions. So yeah, is that a custom thing? Like, did you guys? Did you guys or BJ like come up with that? See ya, JP. Thanks for keeping us company in chat. Take care. Hopefully, like that means you've already arrived home safely from your drive. See you around, bud. But yeah, that's a again like a back to what we are discussing. Um, that's one way to like minimize monster prep. You don't need to have the whole stat block of the monster of the creature really. Just for me, it's hit points. Um, maybe ability modifiers. Maybe that's a big maybe, but definitely hit points, attack bonus, damage. That's it. If I need uh if I need the rest, while the players are the, deliberating their actions or looking at, like rolling, that's when I'll like pop open the monster manual and look at the actual stat block. But for prep, I don't. Yeah, like I'm not gonna painstakingly copy the whole stat like monster stat block. The goals as XP mechanic that Eric is aware of is from Macchiato Monsters. Oh, okay, okay, cool. That's a nice one. I kind of like that. Um, it's like a interesting take on like milestones. Yeah. So the next one is I don't know how to do all these GM things. Yes, you don't. How could you? The only way to learn how to do things as a GM has to do. Uh, oh, okay. The only way to learn how to do the things a GM has to do is by doing the things a GM does. Makes sense, right? So just start and fail fast. That's the best way to improve. It's like learning to ride a bike. You can't really teach someone how to ride a bike. You can give some basic tips on how things are done, but they still have to figure things out themselves. Yes, you'll probably fall and graze your knees, and that's just part of the process. If you're too afraid to try, you will never be able to ride a bike. Very true. Yeah, like if like everyone I think it's really related to the next point. So I'm just gonna and last point. So I'm just gonna hit that too. I'm going to suck is the fear, and the Frank GM writes, yes, you probably will. So what? No one expects you to be a master in something you've never done before. No one gets mad at you if you make a few beginner mistakes or if your descriptions and characters aren't as immersive as Matt Mercer's. As long as you do your best, try to learn and to improve, you'll be doing great. People tend to forget that sucking at something is the first step toward being kind of good at something. There are a lot of things you can be afraid of when it comes to becoming a GM and running your first session, but in the end, there's no way around it except to overcome your new GM fears. So, yeah, like not knowing how to do GM things and the fear of I'm going to suck, those are two very related points. Honestly, yeah, practice makes perfect. Thank you, Clive. Um, and like even seasoned GMs or DMs are always like learning how to do these GM things and how to uh, how to how to be better at at their role at the table. Because like yeah, like uh, what like learning a bike or like yeah, and like when you first start the sport, you're gonna suck. When you first start drawing, it's not gonna look like freaking Michelangelo. Um, that's just the nature of it. If you don't get started, you're never gonna get better at it. You're never gonna end up getting to a point where you have fun with it and not stress about it. So it's That's just the way of it. Um, like I would say, if you're worried, okay, a very concrete example of this. Let's say it's easier for an all new table, right? Of a group of all new players with an all new DM, because everyone's gonna be kind of forgiving with each other. You all know you're on training wheels, right? You're all learning the game together. You're all starting, especially if it's like not just new players to the system, but new tabletop RPG players all together. Like you're all in this together. You're all newbies, and um, yeah, no one knows any better. There's a certain like ease to that. Um, uh, you won't um, you won't feel as much pressure as, say, a situation where you are it's your first time GMing for seasoned players. But even then, like you have to realize, you know, um, often players are relieved when someone steps up to be the GM or the DM, because they don't want to be the GM or the DM. They want to play. So you've got that working for you right away, in that they're already thankful that you've decided to give DMing or GMing a try, right? So don't sweat it too much. Like they will cut you some slack as a DM or a GM if it's your first time doing that, for a bunch of seasoned players, or even uh, DMs or GMs at your table. In fact, like just like I mentioned earlier, like with the player who likes to like to quote the rule book and stuff, take advantage of it. Like it's not the relationship should never be adversarial or competitive between you and the players. Like use their expertise, right? Like if they have ideas, if you're a new GM and you have like seasoned players or seasoned GMs at your table playing for you, playing your adventure, um, then yeah, use their expertise, use their experience. Like listen to listen to their feedback more often than not, because they are experienced, they're veterans. Their feedback will actually like be valuable, and it really could teach you some stuff about like, if not how to GM in general, at least how to GM for that table specifically. So yeah, um always be open to feedback, and that's like that kind of situation, you're gonna learn real quick how to be a good GM. You're gonna improve because these guys know what they want. Sometimes, you know, and they will also be forgiving of the person who has decided to take on the role of dungeon master or game master, and they will often help you along too. So yeah, don't sweat it. If you've ever wanted to try uh, being a game master or dungeon master, yeah, get over your fear by thinking about if you don't happen across like this article, like you really should um ask someone, talk about it with someone, um and with a GM, ask questions. People will be more often than not willing to help. If you can't find the GM, talk to your players. Like keep open lines of communication. It should all be fine. Like before you know it, you'll be having fun. Honestly, I used to stress um, about running games impromptu. I never used to run things that weren't out of like some kind of published, adventure or published campaign book, because I felt like I couldn't come up um with like a meta plot for campaigns. But then, like along the way, I learned that yeah, like okay, like some GMs do tend to, and some players look for that in their GMs, but I'm fine like like uh throwing things at players and seeing what sticks like for the first couple of sessions or first handful of sessions, because the players also they don't know their characters as well yet. So like I treat the whole thing like a big epilogue, or rather prologue, and yeah, see what sticks. And yeah, I just I just tend to go with what I see works in those first several sessions. And yeah, let random tables lead the way. Procedural stuff is great in relieving pressure from the GM or DM's shoulders. So yeah, take advantage of those too. There's a lot of um, you know, encounter tables, NPC generation tables, and whatnot online. Adventure like adventure hook tables that you can use to your advantage if you want to relieve some of the decision making, um, and leave it to the dice. That's some good. That's a good tip too. Um, yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm just gonna get some water. I'm gonna put the screen on BRB and trigger the some music, like play some music for y'all. I will be right back. My throat is parched, and yeah, we've got a couple of more topics, um, including a deep dive into like the Illithid conspiracy behind the Baldur's Gate trilogy of games. Well, soon to be trilogy of games. So, don't go anywhere. Table talk, and we'll be right back. This is Mark, by the way, hosting the show for you guys today. Yeah, see you in 5, 8 minutes. Yeah.
We get along just fine here on our own. What you offering? Another money mind. Oh, you wanna rob me blind? Well, I don't know this time. Oh, don't want it just a liar. Don't wanna feed the fire. Tell me what to do. Yeah. Been listening to my heart. try to keep us down, but we are backing out because the time is now. Screaming till you're breathless, till all the voices drown. But we ain't backing down. Oh, our time is now. Don't wanna just a liar. Don't wanna be the buyer. Tell me what to do. Hey, hey. Listen in the heart. It's leading me for another. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to
I did it again. I did it again, having forgetting to unmute. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so thank you, Clive. So scrolling back, basically we know that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be featuring a lot. Well, not a lot, but mind players to some extent. They released a new image, Larian Studios, the people behind the wildly successful um, Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2. Um, they're awesome games if you haven't tried them out yet. Um, JP and I used to stream Divinity on over on here on Dicecast, and we had a blast. Um, but yeah, so they are the studio that is doing Baldur's Gate 3, and basically the ever since the reveal on the Google Stadia, Illithid, really the taller variety, or this specific one with like the frills and stuff in the back. Oh, okay. Thank you for the link. Let me check that out. Forgotten Realms. Hmm. The no like the nobility or the elite. Interesting. Well, yeah. Basically, we do know that there are a bunch of different kinds of mind players. They're usually, I think, shorter than human height, but yeah, these ones tend to be taller. This one does look quite similar to an Ulthurid, like maybe an updated version of the concept, right? You can kind of see here. This is what Clive shared over on the Facebook comments. So yeah, looks like an updated version of that, definitely. So they are kind of like the Ulithrids are the elite of the mind flayers, I think. The nobles of Illithid society. There we go. Um, yeah. So oh, there you called it. It they IGN kind of spotted that too. There are Illithid with longer tentacles called Olitharid, which can be born when the larval tadpoles are left unattended in the birthing pool by ejecting large larvae into a briny pool under the stewardship of a great elder brain. Okay, so it could also be like the webbed filling crashing around the head and shoulders could be indicative of a new subspecies altogether. More likely, it's one of the augmentations, um, but it's also more likely that it's just like a fashion thing, a survival mantle, a piece of carapace-like armor worn about the head and neck and chest that also has the added benefit of allowing them to breathe normally in any atmosphere or lack thereof. Cool. Um, where did those alert sounds come from? Oh, anyway. Um, yeah, yeah. Cthulhu like making its way into, into Gygax's nightmares. Um, so this is the big thing for me that they included a nautiloid in Baldur's Gate 3 because I have been waiting, like as a lot of our regulars will know, I've been waiting for the longest time for Spelljammer to get an update. And I love that the nautiloid has been featured not just in Baldur's Gate 3, the trailer, but also in um some adventures. I think some epics released by Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, for those of you who don't know Spelljammer, it's essentially Star Trek meets D&D, where you can, you know, um, essentially it's flying ships. not just over uh, over the Forgotten Realms, but you can eventually like leave. Like actually the bulk of it is leaving the the game settings and exploring. The crossing over from Faerun to from Toril to what, to Dragonlance or to Greyhawk. Um, yeah, the Spelljammer PC game. Yeah, that's a classic. We had the box set for AD&D, and that was like uh, it was my first taste of D&D. Spelljammer, really. Well, my first taste of a long form campaign was Spelljammer, and I loved it. It was like the most fun thing. Buck Rogers and Dragons also works. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Um, so yeah, basically Illithids in Spelljammer are yeah, they conquer and subjugate entire worlds and races. Um, and then eventually their slave empire rose up and overthrew their masters. But at the highlight of the Illithid heyday, they were able to use these ships to travel the plains and spread their sweet psychic indoctrination. Um, yeah. So we saw at the end. We did see a Nautolite at the end of the Baldur's Gate 3 reveal trailer. So I wonder if you're gonna also see other spell jamming ships in there. That's unlikely. It seems outside the scope of the game. But it would be cool, like if you like to get to the Nautolite, you needed to kind of what, even a tradesman. You can throw a tradesman our way. It doesn't have to be like a full on squid ship or hammer ship, um, or even like an elven, you know, flitter or man of war. Being needed to reach the Nautiloid, that would be pretty cool. Larian and Wizards of the Coast. Hopefully, like you make this um boyhood dream come true of having like a modern spelljammer uh represent like gameplay represented in a modern game. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, far fetched, fine. Um yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 is still a ways off. Doesn't even have a release date. But um Larian has confirmed that it will come to PC at launch, and it also doesn't want to play the exclusivity game. And so Baldur's Gate 3 won't just be restricted to Google Stadia. So thank God I can pick it up on Steam. Hopefully, that's what that means. Looking forward to that. Unlike, for example, another like great, like fun new RPG that just came out, The Outer Worlds, that has like an exclusivity thing. So it's not on Steam yet, which sucks. But yeah. Anyway, so Larian is not playing that game. Thank the heavens. And yeah, go Larian, exactly. Um Hopefully, like maybe they'll make a modern Spelljammer game. Like full on Spelljammer, not just Baldur's Gate. That'd be pretty sweet. Um in the meantime, you can get your hands on the latest adventure, the latest hardcover from for D&D 5e, called Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus, which is I think a prequel, if I recall correctly, like a prequel to Baldur's Gate 3. So it's not just a prequel, like it's its own thing, but it happens just before the events of Baldur's Gate 3, if I recall correctly. So yeah, check that out. It's got its own like interesting vehicles too. Like you can it's quite Mad Maxy with like the infernal machines that you can yeah, drive through the first layer of hell. That's pretty cool. I would we will stay tuned for a giveaway soon on Dicecast actually. So we will soon be working on giving away a copy of Descent into Avernus. So stay tuned for how we're gonna raffle that off. We already have the book with us, so all that remains is to put the raffle together. And yeah, um, stay tuned for that. If you want to be updated with our announcements, I humbly suggest you follow us on um, your platform of choice, whether it's Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, but also definitely follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook for live, like when we do make that announcement um, as well, because we'll post there too. But we'll definitely make the first announcement like probably on Table Talk on one of these Mondays. So um, yeah, follow us and share if you want like your friends to have a chance of winning as well. Mechanics for the raffle will be out very, very soon. Okay. Um, before before we go on to our next topic, so there's this conspiracy theory that dates all the way back to the Beamdog forums. So I think even before that, to um, the oh my gosh, who are the original developers of Baldur's Gate 2? Uh, Shadows of Am was developed by Bioware. Okay, I think this even goes back to the Bioware forums. But there is a conspiracy about how Illithids are like this Illithid conspiracy is seeded throughout the previous two games. Um, I won't get too deep into it here because I feel like it might be a bit far fetched, but it's just entertaining to kind of see, how far uh, people are willing to read into into this, and also like maybe just maybe it might be true as well. It's even if it's a remote chance, but yeah, basically the Illithids have been pulling the strings behind the scenes um, all the way back to Baldur's Gate 1. So there are some leads that seem to point to this. For example, Kala, the tiny gnome illusionist, like when you encounter him, um, you don't really know. You don't really know um, how he's gotten like as powerful as he did, because even before he kind of trapped everyone in his like circus tent illusion, he he was nobody. Like he couldn't have pulled it off according to the NPCs and the ally um that you make from taking him down. Um so yeah, Kala mentions in his final breath that he was promised something. He achieved great power in that tent, even though Aerie said his skills weren't ever that powerful. It's possible that he wanted um, that in his own ambition, as stated that gnomes are pretty much just made fun of in Athkatla or hunted down as criminals. But what if his motives were not his own, or he was controlled or granted like an upgrade by a greater power, a greater like psychic power, right? Um, yeah. So let's see. So it talks about the hidden, and the hidden being the Illithids, supposedly. It's a lot to digest. So yeah, follow the links in our topics docket if you want to read up on this. But basically, the it ties in like why the Githyanki are involved in the Baldur's Gate series, um, how how they might be behind like the motivations of Irenicus to to essentially do what he did in the series. Um, yeah. So there's two sides of this like planar conflict, which are the hidden and the seekers. So yeah, check it out. It's uh it's um it's a bit of a deep dive into Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 lore. So if you miss those games, if you're nostalgic for them, as we're gearing up for Baldur's Gate 3, it's a nice little refresher. A nice little, not just a refresher, but a way to look at like the previous games differently. It's a nice little bit of fun, of internet conspiracy fun for a beloved game franchise. So check it out. It's on Reddit, called the thread title starts with the hidden conspiracy, and if you put in like BG3, like you should be able to Google that. So check it out. Um, Finally, we our last topic for tonight is this. Hang on, let me scroll there we go. The docket down. This is something that appeals to me as a father of a 4-year old myself. Um, it's a Kickstarter called The Big Book of Amazing Tales. It's a collection of adventures for the Amazing Tales RPG, and it's aimed at kids 4 and up, for players, as players. Clive, you're going to finish Baldur's Gate. Have you played um so I'm guessing you've played Baldur's Gate 1, but you've yet to finish Baldur's Gate 2. Have you played Throne of Baal? In a lot of respects, like people thought of it as Baldur's Gate 3 back in the day. Even if it didn't have the name, the number in it. But you should try Throne of Baal as well. It's uh it's a great expansion to Baldur's Gate 2. Anyway, so yeah, this is a Kickstarter by Martin Lloyd, who has the author of Amazing Tales, and they have a very humble 11,000 $169 US goal. He is from the Netherlands, and there's 4 days to go on this RPG. They are just short of their goal. So if you want to see this, this Kickstarter come to fruition, then yeah, you've got a little more time to make it, to pledge yourself and to get more pledges by spreading the word. So the author, 6 years ago, created a role playing game called which would eventually be released as Amazing Tales. It's a role playing game for kids aged 4 and up to play with their parents. This year, he published the first supplement for Amazing Tales, The Quest for the Dragon Crown, and now he wants to make more. The plan is to write 3 more campaigns for Amazing Tales and to combine them all into the Big Book of Amazing Tales. Um, what will they be? It will include Captain Kadava's Treasure, an adventure on pirate seas, The Cryptid Conundrum, an adventure beyond the stars. Oh, that's gonna okay. A Dream of Trees, which is an adventure in the deep dark wood, and of course it'll contain the campaign that started this all, the quest for the Dragon Crown. So how big will the Book of Amazing Tales be? Uh, if you're getting I don't know if there's a digital copy. Is there a digital copy? Yes, there is. So if you're getting the physical book, um, it will be a full color 8 by 10 inch hardback book, and depending on the stretch goals, between 200 and 250 pages, making it more than twice as big as the core book. So I guess that's him trying to say you get value for money. Each campaign will run around 50 pages, and depending on your family's playstyle, will last for between 4 and 10 sessions. The adventures will be fully illustrated, important for 4-year-olds, with handouts and activities to bring the adventures alive at the table as you play them. So there's extra content for parents and teachers as well. So there are two special like the big book will include two special chapters, developing kids with amazing tales. So there's going to be an advice column from therapist Lily Smith on using role playing games to help kids develop, particularly for those with additional needs. Um, and also tips on how to use the game in the classroom from game designer and celebrated podcaster Baz Stevens. So, what makes an amazing adventure? So, these are going to be big adventures for kids. So, they will throw the heroes into big stories with big consequences, like saving the kingdom, change the world kind of stories. They will be adventures packed with awesome. So, like, just to get the imagination and of kids, like their natural, like kids are like, especially at 4, like my daughter is just starting to kind of like really not just harness but really revel in her ability to imagine every little thing. So like a lot of our play is role play but without the dice. Like she always wants to, every day she's a new animal or magical creature and we all have to play along. Basically, and it would be great to tap into that. The adventures that become real. So each adventure will feature activities for kids to do outside the main game. So, for example, the quest for the dragon crown features a puzzle to cut out and solve, and a dragon crown to cut out and make. So it's not just rolling dice; it engages kids on so many different levels. Um, Adventures with room to grow. So if the main track through the adventure is an awesome roller coaster ride, there's always going to be plenty of room to step off and explore the world. So there's a lot. The game provides parents with plenty of scope to, and for players as well to kind of to invent their own plots and just do what they want, play what they want. So, how do you get in on this Kickstarter? You will get the game for a minimum of 15 euros. So that's around 17 US dollars. That will net you not just a PDF copy of the big book of Amazing Tales, but also a name in the book. Um, if you if you don't have um, the core book of Amazing Tales yet, you can get it, both that as well as the big book of Amazing Tales with the 4 campaigns for just 20 euros, around 23 US dollars. And this is for the digital copies. And if you want, if you're going to get, hmm, is this okay? Yeah, this is for the physical copy. 25 euros will get you a PDF as well as a coupon for a copy of the Big Book of Amazing Tales. You're in luck if you are in Europe uh, and Canada as well as the US because this will be, I think, through Drive Through RPG and it ships to those parts of the world. But if you are in, for example, the Philippines, you're going to have to kind of either do like a courier kind of thing or like my shipping box or rely on a relative to bring it like over to Manila for you. Um, yeah. So if you want the two hardcovers, it's at 30 euros, which is around 34 US dollars. Personally, I'm probably gonna go for um, the 21, the 20 euro one, because yeah, like I said, like my kid is the exact age for this. I've always like kind of dreamed of getting her into the hobby. Like like I would love nothing more than to share, like fun times with my daughter playing RPGs. Already she loves dice. Like she's always looking for, my shinies. Um and yeah, that'd be pretty fun. Like if we could do this together. So I'll probably now, of course, like I'll need to, you know, I'll need to have a talk with um my wife about it, make sure it's on board. But like if we're going for it, I'll probably do the $20 one, so I can get. Of course, I need a copy of the core book as well. But it looks like I love everything that's being promised. I'll probably look up a review of the core book as well, just to know, just to be more informed about what I'd be, getting into. But yeah, this I'm so happy as I found out about this before the Kickstarter ended. And yeah, if you're an educator or a parent like myself, yeah, do check it out. Amazing Tales and their current Kickstarter, The Big Book of Amazing Tales. Now we're almost done with our show tonight. I just wanted to, give a shout out to the Greasy Snitches who are putting together a huge event at Manila PopCon. That's on November 16 to 17. This is Conclave 2019. It will be held at Solaire Resort and Casino. Um, it's gonna be an epic, a D&D epic event. So if you want to sign up for it, um, you can reserve a slot for the epic adventure. Check for available slots by going to the Greasy Snitches Facebook page, and they have posts about this along with um, links to where you can see, where slots are available and how you can sign up and reserve as well. They regularly update the availability sheet every day, and you can pay for your tickets at the booth on the day itself. So the that will be an entry to Manny Popcorn, which is 400 pesos, and plus 100 per day for participating in Conclave. So there you have it. That's it for our table talk tonight. I'll like if there's anything you guys want to talk about, I'll keep it going until 10. But if not, yeah, I'll probably say, um say goodnight to y'all. It's been a pleasure having you guys tune in. Thank you, Clive. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Rachel, and of course, thank you, JP, for chiming in on chat, keeping me company. Um, we always appreciate our viewers coming in on chat and sharing their thoughts and oftentimes their experience. And we've had a lot of um, nuggets of wisdom, like over the what, more than a year that we've been doing a table talk. So yeah, um, thank you for keeping that up, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed the show, Clive. Yeah, if you enjoyed it, do if you haven't yet, follow us on Facebook or your platform of platform of choice, like where you enjoy watching us, which I guess in your case would be Facebook. Um, yeah, and like if you think your friends would like this too, your geeky friends would like this too, feel free to um share the video as well, so they can check us out, tune in. Of course, we'd like to get like the more the merrier, right? Um, so that's it for tonight. You'll probably see us stream again on Wednesday. I think JP has been regularly keeping up with his Whatever Wednesday streams. It's called Whatever Wednesday because it's up in the air. It used to be Vigil Wednesday, and before that, what was it? Divinity Wednesdays. Basically, it's when JP and I, when we still had the same schedule, we would play, well, not tabletop content, but really tabletop adjacent games. So RPGs, you know, um, mostly because it's still related to tabletop in some way. I think JB's also done like digital board games, or rather the digital versions of board games that you can buy on Steam. He's done that too. If you have suggestions or requests for what you want, like bits of news you want us to talk about on the show, you can comment on our Facebook page. You can tweet us at Twitter or Instagram, or even join our Discord and you can chat with us there and let us know if you have any tips about like news. Table Talk on which we do on Mondays. It's like a weekly roundup of news from the week before that we find interesting, but we also enjoy putting things, putting up topics that you guys yourselves like have said that you want to discuss and find interesting. So yeah, um, and we also have a our newest program is our Forbidden Lands campaign, which we play every other Saturday so far. So right now it's not weekly because it's kind of in a testing phase, something of a testing phase. So we're seeing how it goes. We're seeing uh, how viable it is to do a fully like remote play campaign here in the Philippines, like what you see like with how people do Roll20 campaigns on Twitch or YouTube. I guess the best example of which would be Adam Koebel's streams for Roll20. Um, we think it's something that people can in the Philippines can do because we know how hard it is to you know to commute. Not like it's a perennial problem like gathering your friends around one table, one physical table, and gaming for hours straight, 4 to 6 hours straight. um that can be tough. So we like, and even tougher to to stream like actual play of that. The equipment, uh it can be pricey, but we hopefully like uh, us doing this is kind of a proof of concept for other for people who might be interested in doing stuff like that, in doing a remote play stream, remote play like um live stream of their campaigns. Hopefully it gives them like some hope that it can be done here because it can. Really, only my PC is doing the heavy lifting, like bandwidth wise. Only the host or streaming PC is the only one doing that. So it's possible. I think it's very possible. Hopefully, you guys tune in and check it out, and not just for that, but to enjoy. Like we have a great cast of players from around the different from around different parts of Manila and the little like communities we have here in our hobby. So from Greasy Snitches, from Adventures Anonymous Manila, from from Dream Seas and RPG Southeast Asia. So check us out. Our next episode for the Forbidden Lands campaign will be on November 16. Now we know that is on the same date as Conclave and Manny Popcorn. So yeah, like if you happen to be at home, or at the event and want to tune in, yeah, please do check it out. So again, thanks, and I want to wish you all a good night. Again, this is Mark, bringing you having had brought you Table Talk this Monday night, um, and hopefully I will see you around more. Thank you, and have a good night. So let me play you out with the intro, which I think might not have any. Actually, scratch that. There's no audio on the intro. I'm just gonna say goodnight and leave it at that. Thank you again, and bye. See you around.